the long and winding road. Yes, Glyn Johns, what you want. Okay.
At the start of 1969, Glyn Johns very quickly established a strong and trusted working relationship with the Beatles, which carried its way throughout the rehearsals at Twickenham and the studio recordings at Savile Row. Right from the off, Glyn can be seen to be an active contributor to the sessions, as he suggests recording a live performance, germinating an important seed in Paul's mind, which ultimately leads to the rooftop set.
I don't want, it's like a TV show sound. They always seem to have that sort of farty little sound on TV shows.
Well, don't forget, you're hearing it on a TV speaker, which is a grotty speaker.
Oh, see, this place sounds terrible now. It may just be great. You can never tell with these places that we did your blues in a little room like a bog,
Yeah.
and there was no separation in there, We really got good separation.
Yeah. The thing is that an open air sound is fantastic. I've always wanted to do something in the open air.
It'd be nice to try and find some way to do it out of doors.
It's so bloody cold,
It's
isn't
your
it?
English rain, which is worrying about outdoors in this country.
Yeah, right.
Snow or rain, it'd do me. Wind and anything. I can make all that. It's just a frozen hand trying to
Yes, you could.
play those notes.
Trying to get your E7th when
The
your little
snow
fingers
and
red.
rain. It's all right. And you might just have a few deaths on the set due to electric shocks.
Glyn cut his teeth at independent studios IBC as an engineer, and this practical experience immediately came in useful in swiftly getting delivered into Twickenham a mix of recording equipment from IBC and George Harrison's own recording kit.
How near are we to getting the stuff in?
Should be in today with only that. I've got bits and pieces coming from IBC. And
Is
George's
it-
8-track coming, and EMI's gears should be here.
Because I haven't thought of it like a record yet.
I think the idea of the record should be a live performance. In fact, it's being recorded.
It's like
it's something.
when I heard Sgt. Pepper last night, I thought, that's what live performances could be like. Even though that was a lash-up, that wasn't a live performance.
Go
Back to square one. There comes my recording studio. Who's going to look after all this equipment? Because the only thing is, it is like 10,000 quid. And is Alex going to plug all that up?
It was Glenn, not Magic Alex, who managed to plug everything all up. And Glyn's contribution went well beyond the practical. When Don't Let Me Down breaks down early on in the rehearsals at Twickenham, he is quick to offer suggestions on how the song might be arranged.
That time it was silly. We don't really know what we're saying now. Love for the first time.
But it was always weak on your guitar.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
a weak bit of the song, that.
Yeah, but
You
it's the
see,
same.
nothing has
It's
to
the same
happen.
bit in those things. If you listen to the
Yeah, right.
things,
nothing
there's
does.
all that's going on is the bass guitar, and
In
drums
love for the...
It doesn't really make that much odds. No, but
What really sounded nice is that you sing the first line, you two sing the second line, and then the three of you sing the third line.
For the first time. Don't you know it's gonna last? It's a love that lasts forever. It's a love that has no past. Yeah. All right.
Crucially, Glyn even gets actively involved at Twickenham in the arrangement of one of Paul's classic songs.
I just feel you need something really sustained.
Some words up.
Thanks.
Let it be. Let it be.
Yeah, like...
Words of wisdom, let it be.
it seems that it's all happening
little bit too quickly with them both coming in at the same time.
Yeah.
That's all.
When do the drums first come in? Guitar and all that?
Well, Glyn say first time they come in, he seems to be arranging this. Come on. And he put that bass there with the...
Only if you ask nicely. You want me on the verse?
Coming in bass.
On the verse when he comes. You happy?
Well, I was thinking of it.
Yeah, Glyn and I thought. Let it be.
Glyn Johns wrote, "A couple of days into the project, I asked Paul where George Martin was, only to be told that they had decided not to use him. By the time we moved to Savile Row, George, realising I was in an awkward position, was kind enough to take me to lunch in order to put my mind at rest, saying I was doing a great job, everything was fine, and I was not stepping on his toes in any way. What a gentleman he is." Glyn had several early connections to the Beatles. Glyn's first session was with the Beatles' idol Lonnie Donegan. Glyn would also record under his own name and had 2 released Decca singles produced by Tony Meehan, who famously auditioned the Beatles for Decca in 1962. In 1965, he even covered a Beatles song.
One day you'll look to see I've gone, for tomorrow may rain, so I'll follow the sun.
For IBC and later as a freelance engineer and producer, Glyn worked with the Stones, The Who, The Small Faces and Led Zeppelin, present at some of rock's classic recordings, an almost Forrest Gump-like presence. Through his production work, he soon came to the attention of the Beatles, and it was Paul who called Glyn to ask him to work on the Get Back project as engineer, with the blessing of George Martin. The setup of a live band playing together in the same room was Glyn's preferred way of working, and central to the entire ethos of the Back to Basics Get Back project. Glyn was soon embraced into the Beatles world, and they jokingly discussed a possible film role for him.
Do you want to be a goodie then, Glyn? Yeah. Come on, now you're sulking, aren't you? Wants to be a goodie.
The roughneck that changes.
I'll go for that. A bit of sentimentality.
The hard drug peddling,
With a good heart.
Return to religion. Ringo's the teacher, the school teacher who goes to see him.
Mal's the police.
There was no designated producer as such at the start of the Get Back sessions. Glyn was the closest thing, manning the recording console while the Beatles jammed on songs and throwing in his own thoughts and ideas on how an LP might be put together.
The main thing is the change from the acoustic numbers to the electric numbers.
I mean, if we're doing a stage show, we'd have to say, hold on a sec, ladies and gentlemen, George just getting on his wrecking back.
As far as I'm concerned, I would need a one run through on each number to get the balance set for it, because everything's changing.
We'll know that better as soon as we got an order.
Yeah.
Glyn's own approach for recording drums in stereo, sometimes known as the Glyn Johns method, gave a natural soundscape for the whole kit. George is quick to praise Glyn and Apple Studios on the sound quality.
I think we're getting a good sound in Apple Studio.
Yeah, that's it. Dan, do you see that? It's not nothing else but Apple.
We're taking out that
Bloody good studios, Apple.
produced by Apple, engineered by Apple. Hey, is Mary.
Glyn came into John Lennon's orbit during filming of the Stones' Rock and Roll Circus, where he also came into contact with Alan Klein, and later offered John a word of caution.
Did you go on longer with Alan?
Yeah, we were talking till about 12 or half 12. Went through everything, you know.
Have you met Alan before?
I met him the other day, and I met him at the circus. He just sort of said hello.
He's a strange guy, isn't he?
It's fantastic.
He really is very strange. Very, very clever. But strange, man.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
We all.
Yeah.
Oh, possibly. And the con man who's on outside for the changes. All those other con men are on the other side.
He's extraordinary. His capacity. I can't really explain it. I don't know if he speaks to you the same way as he does other people. Perhaps not, because you're who you are. But he'll ask you a question, and you're halfway through answering it, and if he doesn't like the answer, or if it's not really what he wanted to hear, he'll change the subject right in the middle of a sentence. That bugs me a bit, actually.
It was Glyn's idea to produce an acetate of the highlights of the sessions, incorporating studio chat, banter, and false starts mixed amongst completed songs. The same approach was later adopted by Phil Spector.
A period of time goes by and I get a call from John and Paul. They asked me to meet them at Abbey Road. So I jump in the car and go up there. I walk in the control room and there's a pile of multi-track tapes. And they said, do you remember that idea that you had made us acetates of? So I said, yeah. So they said, well, we think that's probably the best way to do the record. And we'd like you to do it. And I went, well, that's fantastic, great. So I said, well, when did we start? And they said, well, we don't start. You're going to do it on your own like you did before. And I thought, well, that's fantastic. They've got all this confidence in me to go away and do this without them there. And in the car on the way home, I thought, hold on a minute. I realized it wasn't anything to do with that. They were bored rigid with it and they weren't interested anymore. They'd lost interest. So they were quite happy to just give it to me to go away and do, which was a bit disappointing, really. So it did get finished and I did deliver it back to EMI. And then the band broke up.
I don't know what it is, you know, that I'm moaning about, but it's just sort of...
I must admit, I can't really see it because it just seemed the last 2 days everything's gone so ridiculously well.
He's right, you know.
It is good, it's going great.
Really fantastic.
Glyn's Get Back mix was one of rock's first major bootlegs. An acetate leaked to a reporter in September 1969, supposedly by John, very quickly spread. Radio stations in Boston, Buffalo and Cleveland broadcast the demo in its entirety, from where illicit tapers recorded it off the airwaves. This bootleg release was ubiquitous enough to earn a review in Rolling Stone. The Let It Be Deluxe Edition provided finally for the first time an official release for Glyn's initial version of the record, more true to the spirit of the original concept as a live recording, praised by some as being superior to the official release.
Get back, Loretta.
The lack of an official producer credit on Let It Be at the time certainly did his career no harm, and Glyn went on to work with the Stones and The Who on some of their classic albums, as well as Bob Dylan, Eric Clapton, The Eagles, The Clash, and many others. He would also work with Paul on Red Rose Speedway, although he would quit those sessions early on. In 2012, Glyn was deservedly inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but for Beatles fans he will always be fondly remembered, frozen in time, replete in his many Austin Powers outfits direct from Carnaby Street.
Can you dig it?
What is it? It's got to be like it is. We just recorded it.
You know, I mean, I don't like to throw things away.
Does this guitar sound in tune, Glyn?
It's good enough for skiffle.
Yeah, was it all right? I mean, my solo was out of this world. What's it like, Flims? Should we keep it and do another? Yeah.